Hi everybody and welcome to SA Rugby's version of the Rugby World Cup. I've got Zellum, Nell, Z-Dog, Pipes Ahoy, Conspiracy. He's got so many nicknames. I got Money Boy. And what can I say? These guys don't know anything about rugby. Sorry, bud. What did you say?
You called it, Kev. You called it.
Again, you mean?
Again.
Yeah, look, I don't mind. I like a little gloat when I get it right because there's so much cancel culture out there and people tell me we've won the one.
Right it.
Yeah, that's a bit risky. Let's look at the game. I think that for me, the headline's got to be with this. It's a good one to lose.
Yeah.
And I think I may have said it in the last video. To me, South Africa were the better team. They should have, could have won. It was an incredibly physical confrontation. My God, the Irish were brave. The South Africans were brave. But to me, it didn't make sense. I mean, there could have been. I'll tell you why I think that there's a little bit a conspiracy in this. Because South Africa and Rassie and the team stayed formulaic. The guys came on at the exact time. And it didn't call for that at that stage. So such was the dominance physically with South Africa that it just seemed that we're gonna stick to what we're gonna do. And I wonder if that was a World Cup final, if the same substitutes would have been made at the same time. I don't think so. So, and it's an impossible situation for Rassie because, again, the reward for winning that game is playing New Zealand. That's not a hell of a reward. That's not a good reward, especially when you take the historical significance of our rivalry with them.
Look, I think it's. I don't think the Boks would have gone there wanting to lose that and looking at it like, okay, well, if we lose, then we play France in the quarterfinals because I think there's definitely something to be said of momentum, and just morale within that 7 weeks. However, they do find themselves in a situation where it's there's not too many questions following that game. It's like they went out there, like you said, were the better team. It was incredibly physical for 80 minutes from both sides. It was high intensity rugby. It didn't fade on the 60-minute mark. The Boks come away with that being like, we missed 11 points, was it 11 from the tee? That's pretty much the only direct solve or not solve, and they've got to figure out how they do that, where they include Henry Pollard, if they ever give Damian Willemse a shot to start knocking them over, whether they just don't let Miney kick from the beginning. But it's they're probably looking at it now like we're going to face France without Intermac, without potentially Anton Dupont, unless he wears Perandquais. I don't know if you remember that mask that he wore back in the day.
But he's not going to be 100%, right?
Yeah, so I think the Boks are looking at it like, I think they'll look at it confident in all their abilities besides can we get this quick fix for just goal kicking and figure out a way to make sure that and if they do that, I think there's a reason that they haven't moved away from favourites. And it's because they're still the best team at this World Cup.
Yeah, I think they are, but not statistically in terms of world rankings. It was 1 versus 2. What a great game. I mean, what a great spectacle. I mean, you believe that people haven't landed on the moon, so I can't wait to hear what you're going to say to us. It's like,
I've already said it. I mean, it was on that other show. I said, if you wanted to bring Henry Pollard back, this is the way to do it, right? Have issues with goal kicking from Faf and from Moni Lebok. Rassie has made no secret of his belief that Henry is the number 10 for the last 15 years. He said he's going to the next 3 World Cups. He's won a World Cup before. He's a more consistent goal kicker, if not a more accurate goal kicker than Moni Lebok. And
questions around where you put him in those. I think the narrative started forming recently, and I've actually been saying this I think I wrote a piece 2 years ago saying when Damian Willemse was kind of coming through, saying we need to experiment with Willemse at 10 and Pollard at 12 or vice versa. Now people have finally started thinking, like, everyone's loving our Moni Lebok's playing. Can you bring Pollard in at 12? But then one emphatic game from Damian Dealandi, at least, especially for that first half.
Just well,
bouncing everyone. And, just playing, I think, like, when he's on his game, that direct, sort of straightforward style is so integral.
That's why I think, sorry to cut you off, Al, but that's what makes him one of the best, if not the best, centre pairings in the world is his running lines.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of guys aimlessly drift across and the defense gets time to organize. But with him, he just bang straight.
But we're missing Lekanyo hugely because Lekanyo plays off Damian Dealandi on his best day. Jesse Creel just can't. He's just not the same player,
Yeah.
So it's where I felt like Dialandi played probably one of his strongest games in a long time. I just felt like Kriel was just off the mark, absent, you know?
So getting back to that first thing that you said there about where do you play Andre, I think if the Boks beat Ireland, you have a tough time justifying bringing Andre back in, number one. Number two, if you do bring him back in that situation, it'll be impossible to justify bringing him in at the expense of Moni Lebok, right? But if you lose to Ireland and it's on goal kicks, that makes it a lot easier to bring him in. The Boks are not a team that are tooled up or set up to play with a 10 that's with a 12 that's a creator and a contributor in the kicking game. Bok Rugby is built on a 12 that's a hammer, basically a flanker, guy that gets over the gain line. Damien Dialandi fits the mold perfectly.
You're right. You're basically changing your whole...
You'd have to change your whole approach. And so I don't see the Boks doing that, man. And so that's why I feel like this Ireland game was a setup, is Rusty knows full well they weren't going to get those kicks. Choosing to have a line-up when Geoffrey was the guy.
I don't know if he knew full well he wasn't going to get the kicks.
So there were guys at the game who were watching the warm-ups saying they were missing the kicks at goal from point-blank range. So Rusty trains those guys every day. There's no way.
Another conspiracy.
There's no way that Rusty thought those were high-possibility
Who are
kicks.
these guys, though?
They were on social media, man. They're part of the Illuminati.
Look,
do you start Mani Lebok then in a quarterfinal situation now?
No.
You don't? You straight swap for Pollard?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
And then if the game is not going your way, because this is a final. These are finals now, right? And I hate to be so blunt and just say no. It's like, but no. Because what's he going to lose? Everybody knows Lebok, even though he's actually a pretty good goal kicker and he's an occasion player. You don't win you don't get to two URC finals. He is a good player. Let's not he's a great player. Let's not discount that or think.
Same as Geoffrey, great player, not necessarily hooker.
But what Rassi is genius at is not. Normally, if Rassi had arrested players, right, and taken out more players and put out a weaker side, the French would have had enough ammunition to get motivated. And they don't need that. So Rassi avoided that. And this is the genius of the guy for me. So, and he was very humble in congratulating Ireland and his boys. And that to me tells me that little bastard has got it spot on again. It was the greatest game they've ever lost. Because you're now going to a final. And if they play the same, if they front up physically against the French, the way they did against Ireland, they'll win the game.
I agree.
Absolutely win the game. So
I'd much rather play France than New Zealand. Much rather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of the psyche, right? The
Look,
psyche.
I'm going to say it now. I think we'll emphatically beat France in the quarterfinal.
Jesus.
I think that it's, and granted, Anton Dupont is huge for them. He's huge for them. And, guys are worried about sort of head clashes and stuff, but apparently they're not worried about bringing Dupont back from a jaw surgery 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
He's got 2 screws in his face.
Well, let me throw another conspiracy out there.
Cramping my style now, man. You're moving into my territory here.
It's like, well, I'll never cramp your style. Look at the guns on you, man. It suits the public and the tournament for France to keep advancing.
Sure.
So it'll be very interesting to see what referee they appoint.
Yes.
So I'm already thinking of these things, and so is Rassi, no doubt. That's why he probably said what a great refereeing thing and all. It's like that was a little bit unsubtle to me. But that's one concern I have is who's refereeing that game. Sure.
Look, odds on a yellow card are definitely worth investigating.
Well, I think they won't even have them up there because there will definitely be a yellow card. But you to say that the Boks are going to smash France. No one's going to smash France in a quarterfinal in Paris. Sorry, not going to happen.
I'm not saying smash. I think it's going to be an emphatic victory. I think it's going to be like a brutal game and the Boks win by 8-10 points.
That's a smash, isn't it?
Smash, emphatic, I don't know. I'm just, listen, getting back to the Andre Pollard thing, because we kind of got off track there. Like, because this isn't PlayStation, right? PlayStation, you just load it up, you swap players, nothing matters, they play it to their best of their abilities. This was my concern that I was raising the whole way up to the World Cup, is we didn't need to be in a position where we were going to rush Andre Pollard back in just before the quarterfinals, ice cold, to replace a guy who wasn't really a good fit for what the Boks were trying to do, but is now a fan favorite and.
But let me ask you this question, bud.
To go this way.
So
Would, if South Africa had won and now had the honor of playing the All Blacks,
Yeah.
Pollard's not even in the equation for me. In that you can't then go this far in a tournament with Lebok and say he makes
That's my point. That's exactly what I'm saying.
yeah. So that's, I mean, this has set itself up, like you said, perfectly for, you asked the question, does Pollard come in straight away?
Yeah.
Yes, categorically yes.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is a final. This is going to be a physical confrontation.
Yeah.
And every single point is a prized possession.
Best case, he's going to play that game on having played Tonga. That's his World Cup warm-up.
Yeah, it's good. But look,
Look, it's not a bad hit out if he gets like 70 minutes against Tonga.
But I mean, what I'm saying is, if that's the case, right, then and the World Cup is everything apparently, and you can just throw games against Ireland for shits and giggles, then what have we been talking about all this time? Because what does anything mean then? If the Bok badge doesn't mean anything, you just throw a game against Ireland because it sets you up nicely to make changes.
Look,
But that's the beauty. It was a rope-a-dope. It wasn't a thrown game. It was a game that was going to be, if we win, wonderful. If we lose, okay. And no emotion, no overreaction and stuff. And you can see that even in the press, they're taking it, and the bookies are certainly taking this loss and having with trepidation. They're not saying the Boks aren't favorite. This is the first time I've ever seen a number 2 lose to a number 1 and still retain the favorite to win the Rugby World Cup. It's never happened before.
Yeah.
So this all certain things happen for a reason.
Maybe everybody's seeing it like I'm seeing it. Maybe the bookies are seeing it the same way. I mean, if somebody punts on third down, it's not because the game just went a different way. It's great. What are you doing? Doesn't make sense. When you kick from 55 meters and you're the team with the worst goal kickers in the comp, literally, they're ranked at the bottom. Okay, these guys don't kick their goals. You kick from 55. You don't take a line out when Bongi's on the field. Bongi goes off. A guy who's a flanker comes up. Then you get a penalty. You put that into touch for a line out. Come on.
Yeah, look.
you make a compelling argument.
No,
I'm just saying.
Look, you're right, but again, the South African public has a lot of faith in Rassie, and rightfully so.
They should.
You know, he is a bit of a genius.
He is a genius.
And I do
I
believe.
feel sorry for the guys who spent 150K to go to Paris to watch that.
I don't feel sorry for any guy that can afford 150,000 to go and spend a weekend. One of my mates brought his son, so I feel sorry for his son. But you know, if he'd have phoned me, I'd have told him that they were going to lose.
Why do you watch the show?
His kid will be in therapy for years, man, for years.
Dialendi, beautiful ball on the outside. South Africa will power over.